The whole world will have been shocked by the pictures on television last night of the security crackdown and the dead bodies on the streets of Lhasa and other parts of Tibet. Does the Prime Minister agree with me that, yes, our relationship with China is vital, yes, China is a major power, but we must be absolutely clear in telling the Chinese government that this is completely unacceptable?
Mr. Speaker, I spoke to Premier Wen of China this morning, and I made it absolutely clear that there had to be an end to violence in Tibet, and I hope that all sides of the House will agree with that. I also called for constraint, and I called for an end to the violence by dialogue between the different parties. The Premier told me that, subject to two things that the Dalai Lama has already said, that he does not support the total independence of Tibet, and that he renounces violence, that he would be prepared to enter into dialogue with the Dalai Lama. I will meet the Dalai Lama when he is in London. I think it is important that we all facilitate discussions, but the most important thing at the moment is to bring about an end to the violence, reconciliation, and to see legitimate talks taking place between those people in China.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I congratulate the Prime Minister on making absolutely the right decision with regard to the Dalai Lama. It is a difficult decision, but it wouldn't have been made any better by delaying it, and I congratulate him for doing the right thing.
And indeed, we make the right decisions at all times.
A soldier handed over this medal to me in protest at the government's refusal to grant him British citizenship. Does the Prime Minister know what it means for a loyal British soldier to give up a medal that he won for his long years of service to this country? And can he explain to the Gurkhas why on earth he believes that Gurkhas who've served in the army after 1997 are worthy of British citizenship, but those who served before that date should be deported?
Let me also pay a tribute to the Gurkhas. They've been in existence since 1815. They have served loyally in every part of the world, and particularly in Iraq and Afghanistan, where they fought with Prince Harry over the last few months. They have done a tremendous job for our country. Now, we are the first government to have given Gurkhas the right to a pension for those after 1997. We are the first to have given equal pay to the Gurkhas. We are the first to have dealt with the problems of married accommodation. And we're the first to say that after 4 years residence, after 4 years in the army, they will have the right to residence in this country. Now, these are changes that we brought about. Now, why is the date 1997? It's the date that the Gurkhas, once based in Hong Kong, moved to be based in Britain. And that's why we are honouring the promises we made for the period after 1997.
That is a technical argument on a moral issue. It is a spectacular misjudgment from the man who signed the cheques for the Iraq war but has never had the moral courage to take responsibility for it. Now, after 5 years of conflict in Iraq...
Let the right honourable gentleman speak. Order. Nick Clegg.
Mr. Speaker, after 5 years of conflict in Iraq...
Nick Clegg.
Mr. Speaker, after 5 years of conflict in Iraq, at the cost of 175 British soldiers' lives, over 600,000 Iraqi civilians, and £7 billion of taxpayers' money, will the Prime Minister tell the House today whether he has any regrets for his decision to support and pay for the war in Iraq?
Mr. Speaker, there is a democracy in Iraq as a result of the changes that have been brought about. Millions of children are getting the benefit of both education and vaccination and healthcare services as a result. We are rebuilding with the Iraqis the economy of Iraq. I don't believe he wants to go back to a situation where Saddam Hussein was in control of Iraq.
Before the House breaks for Easter, I'd like to give the Prime Minister the opportunity to answer some of the questions he's completely failed to answer in recent weeks. I thought he'd welcome the opportunity. Last week I asked him if we could have free votes on the human embryo and fertilisation bill in this House, whereas in the House of Lords he whipped his peers on conscience issues. So can he tell us today, will we have free votes on that bill on his side of the House when it comes here?
I made it clear last week about this bill. This is an important bill that improves the facilities for research, vital for dealing with life-saving diseases. It is a bill that has gone through the House of Lords. I said very clearly, everybody in this House should have the right to exercise their conscience, and we will come back to the House with our proposals to take it through in later times.
Why can't he just tell us whether we can have free votes or not? What is so difficult? What is so difficult about making a decision about this issue? If he can't make a decision about this, no wonder the country's in such a mess. Let me try an issue I asked him about 2 months ago, and that was identity cards. I asked him whether he was personally in favour of compulsory identity cards. Now, I'm opposed to that. He says it is a matter for Parliament. Well, the last time I looked, he's a member of Parliament. So will he be voting for it, yes or no?
I was in favour of it then, and I repeat that now. I ask him the question, is he in favour? Oh, yes. The question he never answered. Is he in favour of compulsory ID cards for foreign nationals? Yes or no? We are in favour. Is he against?
I would say if he wants to ask me questions, call an election and you can ask 6 a week. Meantime, my responsibility is to ask him questions on behalf of the country, and his responsibility is to answer on behalf of the government. ID cards for foreigners are just a way of spinning biometric visas, and there isn't a person in the House of Commons who is opposed to that. Let me try another question. When I asked him about A-levels, good to see the Children's Secretary sitting there so quietly this week. When I asked... very, very good. When I asked him about... he had a choice. Either he had to learn to shout more clearly or to be quiet, and he's taken the right choice. When I asked the Prime Minister... When I asked the Prime Minister about A-levels 6 weeks ago, he could give absolutely no guarantee that they would remain after the review in 2013. That means that children starting secondary school don't know whether they'll be doing A-levels or not. I want A-levels to remain as the gold standard. Does he?
I also answered this question a few weeks ago. The review will take place in 2013. Nobody is going to take away A-levels when they are successful. What we're going to look at is how the diplomas are working, review it in 2013, and then make a decision. That is a guarantee that A-levels are in business for the next 5 years.
So he can give us absolutely no answer after 2013. That means the children at secondary school and their parents have no idea what sort of examination system is going to be in place. So the Prime Minister cannot make a decision about free votes. He cannot make a decision about A-levels. No wonder his new spin doctor, Stephen Carter, says, and I quote, "Living in Downing Street is like living in a surreal cartoon." There are now so many spin doctors in Downing Street, they started actually spinning against each other and leaving in floods of tears. But there is a new strategist, a man called David Muir. Yes, I've done a bit of research. He's the chief strategist, and on the internet he has listed his favourite book. And his favourite book, Mr. Speaker, is this. It is called... Is his favourite book not the following? It is called The Unstoppable Power of Leaderless Organisations. If the Prime Minister cannot make a decision, if he cannot run his office, why does anyone wonder why he cannot run the country?
Because we are dealing with the substance of issues. The opposition are playing at politics. We are dealing with the substance of governing. And it's interesting, Mr. Speaker, there's not one question about the global economy. Why? Because the Conservatives don't have a policy on the global economy. There's not one question about the health service, because they've got no proper policy on the National Health Service. There's not one question about local government services, because they're cutting local government services. They have got no answer to the problems of this country.